Well, let's take you back to April 2002, when you made your debut with the Radio Philharmonic, with the Bazarids, in the presence of the composer Hans Werner Henze. I mean, for me it was another milestone. But how do you recall that afternoon?
Well, look, I thank you very much for taking me back there, because that is totally ingrained in my memory as a very, very happy occasion. So many things came together, you know, all the trademark things that the Saturday matinee can produce were there, like a stellar cast, plus this wonderful resource, you know, the RFO and the choir, the Groot Omroepkoor, it's remarkable how when you focus on that concert performance, how the sense of theatre is created by the music alone. And to do that in the presence of the composer is always something very special. And on that particular occasion, I think we came up with the goods. It was so special. April, wonderful time of the year. 2002. April 2002, but, you know, just thinking about, you know, seeing Hilversum and the setup for the first time in April. Sunshine, you know, spring, all sorts of awakenings. It was such a special period.
So, a beginning of a love affair between you and the Radio Philharmonic. How do you remember your first encounter with them? What kind of condition was the orchestra in? What did you hear and meet in the RFO at the time?
Well, an incredible skill, an incredible setup of talents, an incredible curiosity, and an incredible feeling of no limits. That is rare. That is a rarity. You know, very many times you do travel, and then very soon you start seeing the limits. And whereas here, I was instantly aware of the fact that you can, even if you might run into temporary limits, there's always the possibility of pushing the limits and creating something special, getting closer to the meaning of the music. That was always there, and it will always be there. The curiosity and you know, the starting point, you know, the skill of reading rhythms, the skill of reading and creating sound worlds. That is just a wonderful asset to the orchestra.
And a sort of machinery that you could use for your repertoire. The repertoire that you grew up with, and you are sort of specialized in this Germanic threshold repertoire.
Actually, it starts a little bit earlier. It starts a little bit earlier because, you know, there was the time, of course, where I was invited to come here for a project, and so I had my more or less ordinary thinking cap on, and then the word came back. No. We're not talking about an ordinary project. What would you really like to do? Like almost carte blanche style, because there are no limits. You will have a choir, you will have, you know. And that's when we came up with the idea of the Bazarids. But just the notion of being asked to go somewhere, not to do the ordinary, but the extraordinary, the zone where nobody else goes, that was in itself an event.
That was a sort of prophecy for the hallmark that you've put in front of us. I mean, the operas, the Jörg Wittmann, Babylon. I mean,
yeah, I remember
pushing
that
the limits. I mean,
pushing the limits. Yes, for sure. But then it's such a spirit of the whole place. As I said, you know, it didn't start with me. It's not that I had to come in order to say, okay, look, let's do some extraordinary. The want was there, and it will be there. To do something extraordinary, to do something that many other orchestras won't be able to do or won't be willing to do.
But you seem to be at your best when limits are being pushed. When the going gets tough,
I do like.
You're getting better.
I
mean, take Babylon. It is extreme to the max. I mean,
yes.
Such a huge score, huge forces.
Yes.
I mean,
to think of it,
untraveled music. I mean,
yes, and also I'm just being mindful of what brilliant minds are living amongst us. When you think Jörg Wittmann, George Benjamin, George Kurtag, you know, the composers of our time, they have the imagination. They are the firsts to push the limits. They are the ones who basically say, look, you know, this might not have been done before, but let's go Babylon, and let's do it full-heartedly. And you know, it's such a, you know, and that kind of team spirit, you know, of being, you know, having the instrument, let's say, that allows you to think freely and go beyond. That's an incredible experience.
When I see you from my little radio box and I see a highly concentrated conductor, passionate as well, but speaking of Babylon, in a way so totally relaxed. It's like a Haydn symphony you're conducting.
Well,
that's what it looks like. I mean, the way you conduct is you invite these musicians to join you in this festive event.
I like this idea, the word you just put forward, to invite. I truly believe that a spirited performance is best coaxed out of any orchestra, any choir, any soloist, if there's a huge element of let's do something, of invitation involved. There's only so much you can do in preparation. I mean, you can have an excellent game plan and you can sort out logistical corners, but ultimately what you should do in rehearsal, I think, is to come up with an agreement about a common game plan, but then come the moment of the performance, some sort of divine inspiration is allowed, you know, and you need to set free the motion. And maybe that also requires a certain relaxed approach as well, an openness, let's call it, an open approach that invites people, an open approach that allows people to show their personality and give. You know, there's nothing more rewarding to musicians than giving. That's what we want to do.
But isn't a Haydn symphony too simple for you?
No, on the contrary. No, on the contrary. I think a Haydn symphony is deceptively simple in notation. But then there's a myriad of colors embodied in that notation. So for me, it's not just delivering a piano for half a minute because it's written piano for half a minute. But I totally accept the fact that in a Haydn score, a piano is thin notation. It allows us to, on top of the piano, give us beat hierarchy, gestures, ebb and flow in terms of timing, you know, placing chords, relaxed cadences, and phrase lines to a top note or come back, and all those possibilities need to be well balanced and well judged, or and not even technically so, or brainly so.
Have you seen and heard the Radio Filharmonic change, develop, evolve?
There's something that makes me, I think, different from my predecessors. I cannot define things in rehearsal to the extent that it just really needs to be that one way all the time, in every single time, in every single rehearsal, and in the concert and everything, and that defines quality. For me, it really needs to have that element of playfulness and freedom and surprise in the performance. Something that makes the audience realize and believe that we are creating this performance in the moment.
Happened in Beethoven 4 a couple of weeks ago.
Case in point. When you play classical repertoire, pieces, milestones of music, pieces that have been performed before. So the raison d'être, the way, why we perform, the reason why we perform, is because we want to create it for the people who are there in that specific moment. It's a celebration of the uniqueness of the moments of performance. And that is something that I have been looking for with the RFO. And, I think we're more and more successful in that.
Have you changed?
Oh, yes. It's amazing to me how a conductor's life, and, I don't think I'm an exception there. I think it's really almost part of the trade. In a conductor's life, a learning process. It continues to give you dividends, if you want. You invest and you learn and you think you know, but then you question again, and the curiosity takes you further.
Can you pinpoint at an aspect of your
Yes.
music making that has evolved,
yes.
that has been more focused now than 10 years ago or 12 years ago? Or?
It's no. It's the imagination. It's the imagination when reading a score. That's it has infinitely more colors. It's more colorful. It's more refined, if you want.
So you see more, or what is it? You hear more?
I hear more. And I imagine more. It's a playground. It's a free zone. It's a creative zone, and it should never be limited by notation. And sometimes I've seen musicians, not so much in the RFO, but hiding behind the notation. But I am playing a forte. But I am playing a mezzo. But I'm doing the phrasing. I am doing this and that and everything. But then, no notation is 100%. There's always the spirit that drives the notation. So to go beyond that. And in fact, the close collaboration with so many living composers has helped me in feeling free enough to just accept that a notation doesn't grasp 100%. It grasps everything that can be notated, but then music is much more.
Have your gestures changed? Because if your imagination is wider now,
I did use the baton much more prominently when I was starting with the RFO.
I guess so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And these days I use my my hands and everything.
In what kind of shape do you leave the Radio Philharmonic behind now?
I think it's an incredibly strong orchestra. Incredible. It's an orchestra full of personality. I mean, full of individual personalities that define the orchestra. People who can give their soloistic line shapes, colors, and that imaginative zone. Oh, I love this. This is just fantastic. It's the best of Holland, if you want. I mean, just seeing this combination of sunlight, water, nature, tranquility. It's this possibility of just pulling the plug, chilling. Well,
that's one magnet to get you back.
Yes.